beginning of the week, we saw a great CPI report. And so inflation had eased more than anticipated. You saw the 10-year drop on that news. Buffet, I'm going to ask you if that impacted mortgage interest rates like it did in November when that happened. I believe it did. Is that correct?
It absolutely did. So rates now, we're in the high fives, I'd call it.
Woo!
You know, so we're when I talk to clients, I can say that number 5, it feels better because, again, not too long ago, we were saying the word 7. 7 was the rate before. Now we're in the high 5s. And again, every client's a little bit different depending on credit scores, down payment, loan program, et cetera. But we have locked some people in the 5/8 this week. So it was a good week for rates.
So mid-November, when the CPI data came out, we were in those low 7s, mid-7 range. And I know, Buffet, you're going to give me the disclosure depending on credit score.
Yeah, I got to say it all the
down
time.
Down payment all the time.
Call, why was my rate 6.5? And you said 5. It's all, there's loan level price adjustments. But yeah, they were in the 7s. I mean, I was locking people at 7.75, 7.8 just a few months ago.
7.75. Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we had that good CPI data in the beginning of November. The 10-year responded, the mortgage rates responded. We dropped down to the mid 6s. Jump in if I'm saying something wrong, Faye, but for the last 30 days, we've bounced around the mid 6s. I guess some people might have gotten locked in a lower 6 range or a higher 6 range.
Nope, you're spot on.
Yep. And so I figured I was, so now.
When are you not spot on, Byron? Let's be honest. When are you not spot on?
And so now here we are. CPI data comes out in December. The same thing happens, okay? We see a drop in the 10-year. We see a drop in mortgage rates. Now we're able to talk about high 5s. Big win, by the way, for home shoppers. If you're in the market to buy right now and you're in the high 5s, in the month of December, yep, when just a month ago it could have been the 7s, by the way, you can set your watch to it. December, you always get the best deal if you're buying a house in Connecticut, December, January. This is the time to be a buyer. So now you've got the interest rate, good, bad market, good market, doesn't matter the market. December, January, always the best time to get a lower price on the home. We can get into some of those numbers later on in the show if we want. But then later in the week, we get hit with a little bit of reality from Jerome Powell. Good news goes to a little bit of a wake-up call. Powell said the Fed still has a ways to go after the half-point rate hike. So they took the federal interest rate up to about 4.25. It's a 4.25 to 4.5% range there. So they've raised it 4.25% on the year. I mean, just an enormous bump. And when he talked about inflation, so we had good news just a couple days before he started, talking. Then he gets up there and says, inflation remains well above our longer run goal of 2%. So sitting at 7.1%, we're nowhere near where we need to be on inflation. And he said he's not thinking about changing that goal at all. So despite the good news, Jerome Powell not changing the goal of 2%. Some people said, maybe they changed to 3%. No, he said quite clearly, we're going to 2%. And not only are we going to 2%, but we will use our tools to get inflation back to 2% by any means necessary. Okay, so we're at the highest we've been in 15 years for the federal rate at the 4.5% range. The projections out of Jerome Powell's mouth is that by the end of 2023, we'll see 5.1%. So the federal rate is going up, not down. The federal rate is going up, not flat. Federal rate's going up, according to Jerome Powell. By the end of 2024, the federal interest rate will be projected to be at 4.1%. This is directly from Jerome Powell. It'll be at 4.1% by the end of 2024. That's where we are basically today, a touch under. So in the next 24 months, we're going to have no progression on a downward move on the federal interest rate. So we've got 24 months of pain when it comes to federal interest rate. And by the end of 2025 is when we'll see it down to 3.1%, but no reductions until 2024. There is some belief out there that people think Jerome Powell's going to do an about face on that in like May, June. He'll start to reduce.
Bring him down, yeah.
But he's saying the projections are no, we won't see reduction, until 2024.